Our highest ever, I think, was something like 190,000 views in 48 hours, which is ridiculous. We really appreciate everyone that watches and enjoys. But I am going on a well-deserved rest for a few days, about 4 days. So Glen will be holding down the fort until then. So let's make this a very good sale. Remember to leave your comments, and also we've got a sponsored segment in here thanks to Warhammer 40,000 Lost Crusade, where we're giving away 6 game codes, and we'll make sure it isn't one of the avoid games. So yeah, make sure you stick around for that. Also at the end of this, we'll put in 2 games you should avoid because they're awful and shouldn't really be on sale on the eShop, but they are, so we have to tell you about them. What's on sale? Well, let's find out. First, and literally top of the list on Deku Deals, is Gorogowa. This is an absolutely brilliant game. It's a hidden gem. It was developed by one person, I believe, and it's one of the most unique adventure games I've ever played. You can see these panels that overlap and intersect, and you have to move between them, but they're constantly shifting in terms of perspective and angle, and it's a real brain buster. It's got a lovely soundtrack as well. I don't think I've ever really played a game like it. I've just read here that, yeah, it was designed by one bloke. He did all the illustrations, all of the design, and he's called Jason Roberts. A really great game that most people won't play. It's only a few hours long, maybe 2 or 3. It's not large, but for £3.49, 71% off until August the 30th, it's a must buy. Thanks to Warhammer 40,000 Lost Crusade for sponsoring this episode. If you've watched the channel for a while, you'll know that I've covered every Warhammer game on Switch, but Warhammer 40,000 Lost Crusade is a mobile game. It's completely free to play, and it's officially licensed from Games Workshop. It's filled with heroes from that franchise, and it's the first time that players get to hear the voiceover of the heroes. There's a special event coming up called the Cordus Test, which starts on August the 30th, and it goes on until September the 5th. Players will share a prize pool of 2 million crystals by answering the questions. Additionally, for SwitchUp viewers, we've got a little challenge for you. If you download the game with the link and then can answer the question in the top pinned comment, making sure to include your in-game ID, we're going to pick 6 winners who will get an additional $30 worth of in-game gift packs. And each one of those 6 winners will also get a Nintendo Switch game code. The game has a full storyline where you'll be PvE, player versus enemies, and you can send your troops out on expeditions where it plays out in real time. So link to download in the description. Then we've got one of the best platform adventures of all time, and it's a Hat in Time. This one's half price, taking it down to £12.59, and that goes on until September the 9th. It also has offline 1 or 2 player, very akin to something like Mario 64, but a more modern version. You have to collect different timepieces, and you'll also be creating new hats as well. It's an absolutely classic game, definitely worth picking up. Brilliant if you like adventures, and it's also really one that you could play with your kids as well, albeit you may have to carry them a little bit. It's 16.3 gigs, so quite a chunky one, but in my opinion, it's a must-have. Then we've got Slay the Spire, which is one of the all-time best games ever made, and really, again, it's one that you should definitely own. This really is one for people that say, I don't like deck building or card-based games. It's absolutely incredible. Talk about refined gameplay mechanics. There's a real emphasis on choosing those cards carefully, and obviously, as the title suggests, you'll be trying to climb to the top of the spire. There are many different synergies between the cards, but it is the ultimate one more run game where you'll find yourself playing it 4 hours after you intended to have a 10-minute game. Comically, the completionist time for this one is around 230 hours, but you could obviously beat the game in one run in about 11 hours. It's only 541 megs, and at half price, yeah, it's the cheapest it's ever been, and it's well worth picking up. If you're a fan of adventure games, and particularly ones that are a bit darker than your average, then you might like Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition. As the title would suggest, this one is set in and around a highway, but it's very bizarre. Think something like Donnie Darko, mixed with Stranger Things, and you'll have a good idea of the general atmosphere. They originally put this out in several episodes, but this is all 5 of them in one package. It describes itself as a magical realist adventure game. I think I prefer Donnie Darko mixed with Stranger Things. I really enjoyed it. It's got a very high Metacritic, almost 90%. It has a download of 1.6 gigs, and it'll take about 10 hours to beat. This is the lowest it's ever been in terms of price, and it's £12.49 until August the 30th. Then we hop over to the US region eShop. Remember, if you haven't got a US region account, do it, set it up, it's so easy. I just buy US region eShop gift cards and then pay that way. There are loads of websites you can buy those from. The first one, and probably the top of most people's lists this week, has to be Bioshock The Collection. I didn't realise, I was speaking to Glen the other day, he hasn't actually played the Bioshock series yet, and he's just got them. I think he might have got them physically, and he's about to start, but they're absolute classics. They're brilliant games. They're set in Rapture, which is under the sea. Why did I suddenly want to sing that song? And they're a mixture of first-person action / horror with a brilliant storyline that ties it all together. This version includes the first and second, as well as Bioshock Infinite, which left the underwater realm and went into the clouds. Great games, really good, and for this ridiculously low price, it's well worth picking up. That goes on until September the 8th, 60% off, and a 12GB download. This next one finishes very shortly. It's Ashen, and I love this game. It's brilliant, meaning the enemies are tough as nails, there's a stamina-based combat system, and it's got a large open world to explore. I believe there was some DLC for this as well. What's very cool is throughout your adventure, you gradually build up your home area, and different characters that you meet will then come and do jobs for you. Some people found the open world a bit bland, and I think that would be a fair argument, but some of the fights and bosses are great, and it does have a lovely atmosphere. This one is a 4.9GB download. It's only on sale, as I say, for another 2 days. It's 60% off in the US region, and there is also co-op here, but it's one of those annoying co-ops where you can't just team up with a pal. It's like you randomly get joined up with people. There is a code that they can use, but it's just a silly system, really. Then we've got Void Bastards, which I think is the closest thing I've found to Red Dwarf the game. This is a roguelite, but it's a first-person roguelite where you play as a clone. You have to go on your ship and you can choose your next destination in terms of whether you go to a ship that has potentially lots of threats on it, but obviously you've got a higher risk there and better rewards, or you can go somewhere a little bit easier. You make your way through this world, there's a shop, there's loads of different gear and items that you gradually unlock. I must admit, I loved this style of game in the first person. It just worked really well. And there's constant sardonic wit coming from the enemies. They're just chatting. I mean, I always almost said something rude then, but they're just talking nonsense the whole time. It's great. There's a DLC that's also 50% off called Bang Tidy, which adds a new weapon and other bits and bobs, and that's only a couple of dollars on its own. So yeah, really highly recommend this one. We do have a full review of it that you can check out. It's 3.05 gigs, and it will take about 20 to 30 hours to do everything. That goes on until September the 10th. Next we've got a hidden gem then, and it's not really a hidden gem on PC, but I'd say on Switch it probably is, and it's Crying Suns. Now Crying Suns is 20% off, that's the cheapest it's been, taking it down to $19.99. It's a tactical roguelite that puts you into the role of a space fleet commander as you explore a mysteriously fallen empire. That's literally what it says on the eShop, and I don't think I could say it better myself. There are more than 300 different story events that you gradually unlock, but there's a whole universe to explore. From what I played of it back in the day on PC, I really enjoyed it, and it's one that I definitely recommend. It's from Humble Games, and generally they release titles that are in a good condition, shall we say. A really good game, nice strategy experience, well worth playing, and that sale goes on until the 10th of September, and it's also only 531 megs. Kids picked this week then, and it's not one because it's a kids game, because I'll be honest, I probably enjoyed this more than them, but it's one that they can watch along and really enjoy and kind of play along with, and it's Wandersong. This is a delightful little platform adventure music game that I thought was a little bit pricey at launch, but it's now down 75%. You play as a legendary bard. Actually no, he's a bit of a twit, but he goes on a little adventure to find out all about the mysterious Earth Song. Not the one with Michael no. not that one. This Earth Song could save the world. It's a lovely game, well worth buying this one. It's another one from Humble. They've obviously got a sale on most of their games, and I think it was developed by one person. Is that right? Greg Lobanov. It's about 11 hours long, and it's universally and critically acclaimed. Finally then, the hidden gem of the week, and it's the Persistence. This is one that Glen played through and it was recommended to me. I think I played it back in VR, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of a Dead Space like. It's an action adventure from the first person, but obviously with those horror undertones. Well, they're more like horror overtones really. It's terrifying. And the Persistence is the ship, which is completely overrun with essentially a zombie crew. There is a full storyline here that plays out, but it is a roguelite as well, so you may die, have to go back to the start, keep some of your upgrades, you know the drill by now. But a good game. It was actually a really good game, and it is worth picking up if you're a fan of this type. Now, it's 3.3 gigs, as I say, to download. It's the lowest it's ever been. It's only on sale for another couple of days. It's 80% off, and yeah, I'd say it's the hidden gem in this list for sure. Now, a quick fire couple of games you should definitely avoid, and one of them has really worked its way up the eShop quite a lot because it's its lowest ever price at the moment, and it's Blacksad. But unfortunately, it's a state. It is still a complete mess. Anyone that's played it, pop your comments down below. You can tell us just how bad it still is. I visited it twice for an all patched up episode, and yeah, just awful. Just a mess, so don't buy that one. And lastly then, there's North. Now, we really wanted to like this back in the day. It's just not a good game. So many of the mechanics just don't really work. It's 1 hour long. I haven't got a problem with short games, but I mean, short and bad? Yeah. No, I think we can avoid North quite happily. A bit of a clunky mess. So that is it for this week. I'm going to say adieu. Make sure you do the little competition that we put into the advert to win one of those 6 game codes. And a big thanks to all of you who've subscribed to the channel and just the people that have stuck around for so long. We really do appreciate it. Thanks to our patrons for supporting us. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, I'm going on holiday for 4 days. Oh yes, keep it Switch up. See ya!